The first round of the year, the pre-season favourite struggled. Blanchard in the gap at turn 6, and contact, around goes Russell. Moffat giving the Kiwi a small rub down at turn 14. And a returning champion gave them all a driving lesson. Steve Owen will take the first checkered flag in the 2010 Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series. The former champ has cleaned them up. Steve Owen takes round 1 in Adelaide. Now it's on to Queensland Raceway, a track that played a major part in shaping the 2009 season. But there's not enough room there, and Moffat goes off the road.
That was just an absolute balls-up.
This is the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series, where the stars of tomorrow prove themselves today. Well, Queensland Raceway is a track that really divides drivers and teams, but a man with plenty of good history here is two-time Bathurst winner Garth Tander, and the thing, GT, that I'm looking forward to is the return of the reverse grid.
Yeah, that's right, Aaron. First reverse grid race of the year, and what they've done this year is a change in the rules. We've actually given only half points now for the reverse grid race, so hopefully that'll stop guys racing for 9th and 10th in the first race, so they get a good grid position for race 2.
Later on in the year at the Phillip Island and the Bathurst endurance races, there's a new rule brought in by V8 Supercars Australia this year, and that is that you can't team up with your mate Will Davison. Everyone has to get their own co-driver, and we're starting to see the flow-on effects of that new rule this weekend.
Yeah, lots of guys that have previously raced in the main game that aren't in the main game this year now getting miles in the development series. So guys like Owen Kelly, Steve Owen, Jack Perkins, Paul Morris, all guys that have had plenty of miles in the main game and now getting up to speed, making sure they've got plenty of relevant miles for the Phillip Island and Bathurst. So what that's going to do is actually the young guys that are racing in the development series to try and learn their craft are going to find out what it's like to race against main game guys.
Well, the first round of the Fujitsu Series is on the streets of Adelaide. There was a former series champion who was doing the winning. Brian Ingson brings us up to speed ahead of round 2.
After claiming 2 race wins at the opening round in Adelaide, Steve Owen vaulted into the series lead.
The former champ has cleaned them up.
It was originally meant to be a one-off drive with Greg Murphy Racing, but the team has decided to wheel the ex-Tasman Motorsport VE back out for Queensland, and it keeps Owen in title contention for one more round at least.
When you win a round and go as well as you did at Adelaide, you carry a fair bit of momentum through the year, so hopefully if we can have another good round this weekend, we can get to Winton and carry on.
Last year's runner-up James Moffat sits just 24 points behind Owen and admits he's still trying to get comfortable with his new Ford Performance Racing prepared car. Between rounds, Moffat has tested his Falcon at Victoria's Winton Raceway, enlisting the help of main game driver and FPR teammate Mark Winterbottom. There are plenty of rookie drivers who put in some notable performances at the opening round. Formula Ford graduates Tim Blanchard and Nick Percat both prove they're not scared to mix it with the field's more experienced drivers, and are currently placed equal 3rd and 5th respectively on the points ladder. And young Kiwi driver Ant Pedersen particularly impressed in his V8 debut with Matthew White Motorsport. After his first ever Fujitsu round, he sits equal 3rd in the championship.
The goal is to still go out there, learn, take each session as it comes. I don't want to get ahead of myself too quickly. Just because I had a good run at Clipsal doesn't mean nothing. There's still 6 more rounds to go, so I've got to back that up really.
The field has expanded this weekend, and there's a brand new face, along with a few familiar ones, back on the grid. After contesting the V8 Supercar Championship Series last year, Jack Perkins returns for a one-off drive in the VE Commodore used by Tim Slade in last year's V8 Series. He has the support from Super Cheap Auto, but must shoulder the responsibility of preparing the car himself. V8 endurance specialist Owen Kelly also returns to the Fujitsu Series as the driver for Kelly Racing's first ever Fujitsu entry. The 33-year-old has recently signed with Jack Daniels Racing for the endurance events, while Kelly's aim is to get extra race miles before Phillip Island and Bathurst. Teenager Scott McLaughlin is focused on getting his first ever race miles in a V8 supercar. The 16-year-old New Zealander is held in high regard by Stone Brothers Racing as a star of the future, and this weekend he steps out of his apprentice role at the Stone Brothers workshop and becomes the youngest ever V8 supercar driver.
Oh, it's one of those things where it's all happened so fast, from go-karts to cars, and it's just sometimes you've got to pinch yourself. It's awesome. We've had a couple of goes in a Mini and a Formula Ford, and both of those different driving styles in themselves. The Mini's front-wheel drive, and the Formula Ford's rear-wheel drive, so it took a bit of adjusting between those two, and then jumping in a 650 horsepower V8 supercar. It's one of those things that just takes you back and it throws you back in the seat, but it's definitely a learning curve.
Also returning to the series is the dirty, dangerous dude himself, Paul Morris. Now, he's no stranger to controversy, but this time he's hit the headlines before he's even hit the track, laying down a challenge to the rest of the field. He's offered up a V8 supercar test to anyone that can beat him this weekend, and that could be easier said than done.
Last time I raced here, they all just sooked up and teared up, so if they want to take me on and beat me, I'll give them a test for sure. And so far, the only guy that steps up is Timmy Blanchard, so I think I'll give him a test just because he's got enough grunt to say he's going to accept the challenge.
How many offers are you taking on board here? What if 28 people beat you?
Well, I'll have to test them all, won't I?
So here's how the championship sits, one round down. Another 300 points on offer across the course of the 3 races here at Queensland Raceway this weekend. But he's a man in form, and Steve Owen has continued it on. He's taken the Armour All Pole Position Award for the 6th time in his Fujitsu Series career and picked up $2,000 with thanks to Armour All. So the championship leader puts himself on pole. After the break, we go racing in race 1.
You're watching the Fujitsu V8 Supercars from Queensland Raceway. With one of the strongest fields in recent years lining up for race 1, the first few laps around the tight and bumpy track were going to be hotly contested.
Paul Morris has got the jump. No surprises there, though. Scott McLaughlin, in his first ever V8 Supercar start, bolts it down, but Morris around the outside on Steve Owen. Jack Perkins into the side of David Russell. The Jayco Falcon is out wide, but this is on at turn 2.
Certainly is, Aaron. We see Tim Blanchard up the inside now for turn 2, taking advantage of that Jack Perkins, David Russell scrap. Dan will run onto the back straight for the first time, and you see instantly Moffat straight to the inside, trying to defend that run to turn 3.
Hard under brakes, turn 3, Blanchard 3rd, Russell 4th, and that's James Moffat down the inside on Jack Perkins. A bit of a bump and run there, that was close. Owen Kelly next in the Meadowland Commodore. Great field here this weekend. We ride on board with Rodney Jane, the Bob Jane T-Mart's Falcon. And Rodney's had a very solid start to this weekend. Qualified 8th, a good recent test at Winton, and a car with great pedigree at this track.
Certainly is a former Triple Eight car here, basically at home Queensland Raceway. This car was designed and built and tested here in its infancy, so that car will certainly know its way around this circuit.
The championship leader with his nose in clear air. Jack Perkins starts to fight back, but Kelly straight in the door of James Moffat, and around goes the Norton 360 Falcon. This is the view from with Rodney Jane. And in fact, I don't think Owen got quite to the door, just tried to back out at the last moment.
We saw there that Owen Kelly perhaps thought there was an opportunity when that door was opened by James Moffat, but the door was closed really quickly, and unfortunately Moffat's around.
For the first time this year, Owen had a fight on his hands.
Morris up the inside at turn 3, but the thing is here, Garth, Owen is still in a good position.
Steve Owen now has the inside run for turn 4, so if he can hang on the outside at turn 3 like Steve Owen did there, he should be in the box seat here, straight back up the inside for turn 4.
And this is where the two left-handers on this track are. Look at Blanchard right in the mix here.
What this racing between the two leaders has done is enabled 3rd and 4th, both Tim Blanchard and David Russell, to get nice and close to the battle for the lead. See Morris again up the inside at turn 3. He's got very good exit speed off the exit of turn 2, can carry that all the way down the back chute, and this time gets the job done without Steve Owen being able to hang on the outside.
David Russell was keen to make up for lost ground in Adelaide.
These two had contact in the first round of the year. Blanchard just lifts out of it there, and Russell goes back in a 3rd spot.
16-year-old Scott McLaughlin was impressing all in his first outing.
What a great start from this youngster. He's got a lot to learn but he's with Stone Brothers Racing, so it's a great place for him to learn. He runs 9th at the moment, just behind the reigning Formula 4 champion, Nick Perkins.
With his father watching on, Paul Morris easily took his first race win in over a decade.
He's turned up to show the young blokes how to do it, and look at the margin. Paul Morris, the Castrol Edge Commodore, takes race 1. It's been a while between drinks for Morris. There's a couple of likely lads.
At least one of us is winning.
Russell Ingall. Well, yeah, I guess that's true. It's been a while between drinks for Russell Ingall at the moment. Morris, Owen and Russell, the top 3. Jack Perkins there in 4th, and Ant Pedersen did a great job, made up 3 spots to finish in the top 10. But the dude, well, the offer, it still stands at the moment. No one's been able to step up and take it away from him.
Well, you laid down a challenge before the weekend. If anyone could beat you, they'd get a test in your car, and so far you're not having to do much testing.
No, well, I always knew it was pretty hard, but a lot of people write me off. But these young guys, they want to do this for a full-time career. It just shows, what a big jump it is from the V8 Supercar Series to the main game. So, if I can't get a drive in there and I can flog these blokes, they've got a lot of work to do.